Yes! Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back. We've got some serious business to attend to today. We're talking about the ICE shooter, and then we've got a roundup of some of the worst that we've talked about for a long time here. Three different individuals. John Bolton, the walrus, he's going to be here today. He's in trouble. We got new documents that show what they were looking for when they executed a search warrant on his house, and we'll see what is inside that document. Then we'll talk about Peter Strzok. You remember him, one of the FBI lovers who blocked us on X because he doesn't like the truth. And he, of course, was the guy texting her, "We will stop him," part of Crossfire Hurricane setting up Trump during the first 2016 election. Well, he just lost his lawsuit. Oh, no. Peter Strzok is out of luck. All right, so we'll come to that. And then big news on the day. Apparently, James Comey from the FBI is going to be indicted very soon. And we got clips on that. It's been confirmed by a couple of different sources over to MSNBC, and they're looking unwell. They had a panel out today, and it all looked like they got hit with a bus. They're like, oh, man, that's our biggest dude. So, of course, James Comey is a criminal, and we'll see what Lindsay Halligan has to say about it because she is the newly appointed U.S. attorney in that district of Virginia. And so, bunch of stuff coming up. I'll give you a quick preview. This is Joshua Jan, the guy who was shooting detainees today. We now know a bit more about him. We got the bullets that Kash Patel posted. JD Vance was out talking about it, and a bunch of reactions from all sorts of people today. So we'll go through, we'll see what the latest is. Apparently there are now 2 dead, and that is not good at all. We had another maniac who apparently, according to Laura Loomer, is a leftist and comes from a very big leftist family. She got some of the social media posts over from Mama, and Mama is not a fan of Trump. So we'll go through that. We got reaction from the acting ICE director. Hillary Clinton is blaming white males. And I think this dude was a white male, but we'll see exactly what she means. It's the Christians. All right, I just spoiled it. But here's more. Andrew Colvett over from Charlie Kirk's Turning Point is reporting to us what is being posted in Georgetown at colleges. And so all that's coming up, including reaction from JD Vance with a very fun moment with a young questioner. So we got that. Then we're going to look at this document. This is all related to John Bolton, the walrus, and got a bunch of redactions in here. Let me just show you this coming up. All these redactions. But there's a bunch of good stuff in here. And John Bolton is looking like he's going to be in trouble. So we'll look at this. He's probably going to be the next dude who's going to be indicted. This was the application for a warrant. And we got more materials here about what they were looking for and probably what they got. So we'll go through that. Then we'll talk about Peter Strzok, who is now out of luck. He sued when he got fired. You remember this dude, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, the FBI lovers. We will stop him. Yeah, baby. So they were very excited with themselves. But here he sued. He wanted a bunch of money. He wanted, back pay. He said, I got victimized even though I tried to rig the election. So he sued some time ago. You violated a bunch of my stuff and I want damages. Well, sorry, Peter, you lose. And this is a decision from Amy Berman Jackson, the Clinton sock drawer judge, who we'll talk about all coming up. And then some of the big news on the day comes from this dude, Ken Delanian. And Ken Delanian reporting for MSNBC that James Comey is about to be indicted. That's coming from 3 sources. So it's not just one little birdie out there. So interesting stuff. Lots of reaction. We had this dude talking about it. MSNBC talking about it. Look how just depressed they look. Look at this lady here. It's like her worst day of her life. It's not Maureen Comey, is it? All right, we'll have to find out. I'm sure she's not happy either. But James Comey, going to be in some hot water, and rightfully so. Shouldn't break the law. Shouldn't try to instigate a coup in America and think you're going to get away with it. But it's going to be a great stream, my friends. Very glad that you're here and with us. Wanted to let you know that we're beta testing Substack right now. Should be called alpha testing because that's what we're doing. But we are beta testing Substack, live streaming over there. And so if you want to come join us for, I think, maybe the rest of the month or so, we're going to be posting our member streams over there. And we'll be doing the after parties over there. So if you want to come and join those, we're going to just keep that open for just about a week and just kind of test it, see how it works. So you can come join us. Here's what it looks like. Your boy's live right there. And we're testing out the functionality because this might replace a couple of other platforms, not locals or not the YouTube membership. But we have, of course, the Lodge. We have watcher files. We want to consolidate, some off-platform stuff happening. And so there's a lot of activity on Substack. So we're here. We've got a couple articles that are up. And yesterday I fleshed out a little bit more about the suicide. And so I had some additional thoughts. If you want to read that, that's over there as well. So you can check it out. And we'll continue to experiment and beta test with it. It doesn't cost anything right now. It's not even hooked up to any payments. But at some point, we may transition over to our members platform, at least add this to our portfolio. So check it out. And there's a live chat over there too. So you can jump on in it. You can see we had some folks from this morning jumping in there. Hey, there's Viva. What's up, Viva? Hey, there's me doing pull-ups. And you can add GIFs and do all the things. All right. So that's over on Substack. If you want to come play around and test it out, then come and join us. Links are in the description below, and we'll see how it goes. We like the GIFs, of course. All right, so with all that said, now let's get into it because we've got business to attend to. Another leftist shooting people, killing them. This guy is Joshua John, and he's now dead as well from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But this morning we saw that he was shooting into the van of a vehicle that was outside an ICE detention center, killing 2 people, injuring another, not hitting any law enforcement officers. And people are again going, what's the motive? I wonder what he was trying to do. Maybe he hated illegal aliens. And so he had to go to an ICE facility where there are probably a lot of them in high concentration and shoot them there. That doesn't sound really plausible because there's illegal aliens everywhere. You don't have to make a special trip to an ICE facility. If you wanted to do that. Of course, we're not condoning any of that. But if you wanted to, that would be one option. So it sounds like he just wasn't a very good shot. And he was there trying to maybe shoot a van full of ICE agents and then ended up killing detainees, regardless of what his outcome was. I mean, his motive. We got 3 different people who were shot and killed. And so they were trying to figure out what happened here. I think the more plausible explanation, obviously, is that he was trying to go after and attack ICE. And to confirm that, we got JD Vance saying the same. Laura Loomer dug up some social media posts from Mom. And we also see here, Kash Patel posted the bullets with an inscription on them, which has been the same pattern that we've seen in all the other bullets. Remember, Bella Chow, chow, chow. Remember, if you read this, you're gay, LMAO. Remember all these things and the other stories about the furries and all the anyways. So this is a clip, not a magazine, pretty sure. So here you can see Kash Patel posted this. This morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others before taking his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF are there, Dallas PD doing the same. And on one of the bullets is this phrase, anti-ICE. And that's not in his cup at McDonald's where they kind of try to jip you on the soda. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. And Kash says, yeah, there's an ideological motive here. This bullet is to stop ICE officials. Now, these despicable politically motivated attacks are not a one-off, okay? We're miles from Prairie Land, Texas, where just 2 months ago, other individuals ambushed a separate ICE facility, and we saw more attacks at ICE facilities in Portland yesterday. Thankfully, no law enforcement personnel were injured. Please pray for the deceased and the injured. We will. Even if they are detainees, we still don't want them to be shot. That's not how you get detained and deported out of America. Now, it's so interesting because they're always like, well, Trump is not affording them due process, which is curious because that's what is happening. They're being detained and they can file claims. They are, many of them are. Got ACLU gangbang lawyers coming in here to file habeas corpus claims. And we got senators supporting them as well. But that is not justification to shoot and kill them. So in other words, Trump is giving them plenty of due process. This guy didn't because they're now dead, 2 of them. Another dude is seriously injured, apparently. So he posted this anti-ICE just to make sure his message was known and then eliminated himself. And we had JD Vance saying there's some other non-public stuff that is also going to be relevant. So this was JD speaking today in the short aftermath of the shooting.
I don't know if you all have followed the news, and we're still learning a little bit about it, but what we know is that in Dallas, Texas, an ICE facility, an Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility, was opened fire upon by a violent left-wing extremist, a person who wrote anti-ICE messaging on their bullets, and there's some evidence that we have that's not yet public, but we know this person was politically motivated. They were politically motivated to go after law enforcement. They were politically motivated to go after people who are enforcing our border. And I think that is the most disgusting thing.
Yeah, and if it's some right-wing white supremacist or something like that, why is he shooting in the vicinity of officers who you would presume he would say, well, they're white supremacists like me too, and they want to get out, all invaders or something, right? It doesn't make any sense. But what you'll see is over on MSNBC and elsewhere, they're saying you just can't assume that his ICE shooting at officers at an ICE facility and a message that says anti-ICE on it, it could have just been a joke. Okay, here's what these jokes actually are talking about over here on the cable. Very short clip.
You can't just assume by that what was written on that shell casing that that's necessarily his motivation. He could have been doing that to thinking it was funny, trying to put law enforcement on the wrong track. This is where when you analyze the person's phone, computer, talk to his family and friends, that you get an idea of what his motivation perhaps really was.
Yeah, and there's some truth to that. I mean, it could be a joke if he was a crazy person or something. So he says, let's talk to his friends and family. All right, well, Laura Loomer did that. She says, the mother of Joshua John, the radical left shooter who tried to assassinate ICE agents in Dallas, but ended up killing illegals, is named Sharon. That's Mama. She's a Democrat who makes social media posts attacking elected Texas Republican lawmakers who support the Second Amendment. It's weird. She's like, we need more gun control, and you, Ted Cruz, are endorsing the Second Amendment. It's like then her son gets a gun and goes and shoots illegals. Ironic, since her son used a gun to go by and try to assassinate ICE agents and then eliminated himself. Man, Laura Loomer is just savage, right? Yeah, well, yeah, he's now dead. So just another example of failed Democrat parenting, which is, let's see, Joshua John is a radical leftist with a Democrat mom who spews her hatred on social media. She has made several posts on Facebook and attacks Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott. In one post, she said the following, and here is a screenshot of it over from Laura Loomer. She says, this is from Mama, from Sharon John, mom of the alleged shooter. Governor Abbott, Senator Cornyn, Senator Cruz, how does it make you feel that your action to opening up gun laws is responsible for the killing of 21 more people? Wow. Sharon's going to have a reckoning here. How does it feel that the individual that came out of your body just shot and killed 3 illegal aliens? Did you secretly sit in front of a TV and smile a demented smile? I don't know. Did you, Sharon? You must be proud of all the money that sits in your bank account. Are you going to divest your bank account, Sharon? Was it worth it, Abbott? When you prioritize money over people, this is what you get. I don't even know what that means. So here is my hope. May you be reminded, like what you get is a post like this, or you get 21 dead people. I don't know. May you be reminded of the deaths every time you spend that money, blood money. Crazy. So she's going to have to live with those words. You have received from the gun lobby. I hope you think about it 100% when you attend the NRA meetings. It's unfortunate you don't have a spine to stand up to the NRA. You're a coward and a spineless coward. Wow. So she's very upset, and you can see maybe where her son gets some of the vitriol. Although we call people cowards here too, because we're going to talk about Peter Strzok next. Why have our government officials failed us? Their lust for money and power. We got to vote out these spineless dildo guys. So that's Mom, and you get the gist of it. And there were some more photos here from Laura Loomer. Apparently, this is the son who was a part of the family, and that's what she's reporting over there. Background check on the shooter, wiped Facebook page. So they're just nuking information, and she does great digging in the aftermath of these incidents. But we've got that. We've also got the latest over here, 8 new updates courtesy of Dallas Fort Worth News, who are there. They say bullet holes 1 minute ago now show in an ICE office window. Wow. So let's see if they have those photos. DHS included the flag photo in their statement on the shootings. Wow. All right. So this is new. From Homeland, Tricia. Pray for the victims of the Dallas field office attack. You know, like everyone else, our ICE officers just want to go home to their families at night without being shot at. They are fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, and brothers and sisters. And so are the illegal aliens. Like, they don't deserve to be shot and killed. It's ridiculous. They get up every morning to try to make our community safer. The violence and dehumanization of these men and women must stop. And there's the bullet hole right through our beautiful flag. Oh, gosh. And here's another one right through the window from another deranged person. And here is more, saying the photo was released by Homeland. College student just came home. She's learning that her neighbor is the gunman. Her name is Sloan. There she is. I live next door to him. I had no idea. You know, he's just a total normal. Hadn't seen him in the house. They've been great neighbors. That's insane. I didn't know. It's always that. It's always just insane. How does it happen? Leaders say ICE Dallas attack was not the first one. They're blaming anti-ICE rhetoric over there. This guy was 29 years old. Unspent rounds had anti-ICE messages on them. And of course, we saw that. We don't know if there's other messages, like what's on the backside of those. You know, did he write something on the other side? Or are there more messages? Or is it just that one? I'm sure more will be revealed, but the public is asked for help. FBI had a press conference earlier today. Texas Democrats say they're shocked by this. Jasmine Crockett and others. Trump called this despicable, blaming the Democrats again. And one of the victims injured in the shooting is identified as a Mexican national. The consulate is now reaching out. This is a victim who's in the hospital. Homeland revises the fatality count to now 1 dead and 2 injured. All right. So originally it was 2. After confirming that 2 detainees had died in a shooting, DHS is revising that. They say only 1 person was killed. All right. So sounds like 1. DHS earlier confirmed in the day that 3 had been shot when a gunman was on a rooftop. 2 people are in critical condition, and now it's only 1 dead. The other dude must be like in really critical condition. Well, he's dead. No, trust me. He's like, no, I'm not. Hello. You sure? Yeah, I'm alive. There's a pulse. Please, you know, so, oh, sorry about that. So the suspected gunman identified by law enforcement was found dead. Homeland not released the names of the people. Dallas mayor has released a statement. Mayor Eric Johnson. Violence like this morning should never happen. This is not a partisan issue. We should condemn all violence, which is easy for us to do here, Mayor. We've done that repeatedly, over and over. It's the other side that is not really interested in that because they're posting stuff like this over on college campuses. Andrew Colvett says this is being posted at Georgetown. Hey, fascist, catch. What are they going to catch? A football? Did they bring their baseball glove to play catch with fascists? I don't think so. I think what they're talking about is a bullet, maybe to the neck. The only political group that celebrates when Nazis die. Like die because they're beaten in a game of basketball and they can't catch a pass? No. These are the psychos that want people dead. And they, by the way, is there a Nazi party? Where are these Nazis? It's just whoever they say is a Nazi, which is basically everybody. So it's a very precarious position for them. So the mayor comes out. He says, all right, guys, you got to friggin' relax over there. Here, Crockett came out. She says, I'm glad that no one who's a law enforcement person was hurt. And she says that there's a dangerous rhetoric that's leading to this. Oh, here you go. Yeah, the rhetoric. It's our rhetoric that's bad, not Jasmine Crockett. She says the rhetoric used to dehumanize and demonize immigrants. Well, they're not immigrants per se, okay? An immigrant who wanted to come and be a part of the country would immigrate legally, okay? That's immigration. What they're doing is breaking the laws and immigrating illegally. Calling that out is not dehumanization. It's talking about something that's happening in reality in our country. So she says it's horrific and it's going to lead to increased hate crime incidents. Okay. Whatever that is. And like the mass shooting in El Paso, often at the hands of troubled white men, says this racist black congresswoman. This rhetoric not only threatens the lives of immigrants in the country, but also makes the job of our law enforcement officers more dangerous, as can be seen. So there she goes, right? She's doubling down on that. So, hey, Mayor Eric, you should talk to Jasmine, tell her to take it easy. Innocent lives were stolen, says someone else. This guy, Rep. Mark Vassy. My heart breaks for the families. Their pain must be unimaginable. They're dead, one of them. Witnesses describe the moments. This woman, suspect's brother, said, well, I didn't even think he was politically interested. Like, what the heck going on? They talked to the bro. Brother of the man suspected said, actually, he wasn't even especially interested in politics and had not voiced his opinions to the families. It's wild, man. All these kind of young men just sort of become psycho shooters. The suspect, Joshua John, 29, allegedly shot himself after opening fire on the facility. And there were anti-ICE messages. Okay, and that's plural. So, like, where is the other one? He didn't have strong feelings about ICE, as far as I know, said Noah. NBC News spoke to Noah before he had gotten word that his brother was identified. How come they talked to him? Oh, he didn't know. So they knew. They went to talk to him, and he's like, wait, what? Noah described his brother as unique without elaborating. Well, we know what that means. But he said Joshua was not one he ever thought would be involved in a political shooting. I didn't think he was politically interested. He wasn't interested in politics on either side, as far as I knew. They grew up in Allen, Texas. They were Boy Scouts. Brother had done coding work, but is currently unemployed, planning to move onto their parents' property in Oklahoma. Saying our parents owned a rifle, but Joshua didn't know how to use it. But he's not a marksman, that's for sure. Well, that is for sure. Yeah, I mean, if he was trying to hit ICE agents to save the illegal aliens, he screwed that up. He would not be able to make any shots like that. So that's interesting. I mean, it sounds like he was just kind of popping off, just, blasting and hit something in a van. Noah said he last saw his brother 2 weeks ago. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Witnesses heard gunshots. Abbott issues a statement. He says the attack on this ICE facility was horrific. I've been in communication with a bunch of federal officials. We're not going to let this cowardly attack impede our job to process and enforce the law. So 29-year-old man from Dallas. We know a bit about him. And another man is facing a terroristic threat. Look at these lunatics. A man faces a terroristic threat charge for an August bomb hoax at a Dallas ICE facility, charging him. Homeland calling it a targeted attack. John Cornyn released a statement. Fort Worth mayor comes out, expresses her condolences. 2 detainees were killed. Actually, no, it's only one. That one dude was alive. Sorry, amigo. So he's alive. And all of this is horrific. So maybe Jasmine Crockett can talk to people who are on her side, who are elevating the rhetoric that justifies attacks on ICE, and tell them to tone it down rather than lecturing us. Here's what acting ICE director had to say about this today in the aftermath of the attack.
Secretary Noem had a great quote. What she put out on X is that this language and the rhetoric is so vile against us, and it's feeding off of it. She was so concerned. She's been leading from the front. She was on the phone with me and the deputy director, caring about men and women of ICE. She's making sure that we have all the resources we need. But to her point, the rhetoric and just the comments, disgusting comments made about ICE officers, their families, and what we do for mission is really spurring all of these attacks. And it's only going to get worse. No. And Secretary Noem had a great quote. What she put out on X is that this language
is not bringing a lot of optimism. Now, Hillary Clinton, just like Jasmine Crockett, there's a whole onslaught of this. The other woman who is trying to be like Donald Trump, who is a bona fide racist, who was just on with Letitia James. We were talking about her this morning. Can't even remember her name. That's how irrelevant she is. But she's saying the same thing. Bunch of anchors all over the place. It's white men. And this was a white guy, it looks like, who was shooting at ICE officers. So it's interesting how they now want to add in additional labels. So white, male, but a lot of their shooters who were shooting people like Charlie Kirk were white males and shooting up schools, except they were kind of into transitions. So I don't know if they're actually like technically, they're males, obviously, but they kind of think that they're women, or they think that they're furry dogs that have sex with each other or something. Don't really know. But watch what the additional label is from Hillary.
And I'm proud of the fact that we have always been a work in progress. You know, we haven't gotten to the more perfect union, and we fought a civil war over part of it. And people have been protesting, you know, for hundreds of years that, you know, things were not as they should be, given our ideals and how we should be moving toward them. So I think that's what makes us so special as a country. And the idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, you know, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, is just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for. And we were on the path toward that. I mean, imperfectly, lots of, you know, bumps along the way, but I agree with you. We were on the right trajectory.
All right. So, I mean, these are, you know, they like to use the word dog whistles. She's coming out. I can't really even say it because it's Christians, white male Christians, and anybody who happens to like a white male who's a Christian. You're also implicated, I'm sure, in her extensive labeling on this, but the pattern continues. Jasmine Crockett blaming white males. And it's interesting because the people on their side who are shooting people are also white males or white transitioning males or whatever it is. So they're not toning down the temperature, okay, is my point. This is a leader of the Democratic Party who's now trying to turn this into a racial thing and a religious thing. And we're going to blame them for trying to, I think, take you back to slavery. Is that what her argument was? We fought a whole war for this. And now the Christian whites are going to come in and enslave everybody else. How's that for toning the temperature down from Hillary Clinton? Not good. So just get ready for it. As the ICE director said, yeah, it's probably going to get worse because they're out here saying, yeah, it's just white males. And a lot of people on the left don't even understand the reality of what's happening. I saw a poll, people thinking that the Charlie Kirk assassin was a right winger because the media brainwashes them and they just accept anything that comes in through the TVs right into their dumb heads. And they can't process it with any independent analysis. So Hillary is doing the job of turning up, ratcheting up the volume, and she's doing it in her sneaky, snaky little way. Oh, I just can't say it. I'm so folksy here. And you've got Joe and Mika Brzezinski there just nodding along as usual as extensions of the CIA. Here is the post over from Georgetown. Charlie Kirk's producer, Andrew Colvett, saying it's still all over colleges, all over the place. Hey, fascist, catch another bullet. And so this is who they are. This is what is happening on their side of the political aisle. But to cleanse the palate, let's explain and share with you what is happening with these white males out there. Let me show you this disgusting Nazi exchange between J.D. Vance and a little Nazi child.
Name? Henry. It's good to meet you, Henry. Ask your question, please.
Sounds like a Nazi.
Come up here.
All right, so he'll explain it.
Henry said, I skipped school. Can I have a picture with you? Well, I guess you got to have some excuse to skip school, so I might as well get a photo with Henry.
All right, look at these two Klansmen here. Watch this white kid come up on the stage. Watch this. Oh, look at him. He's wearing an American flag and a Trump hat. Shout out to Henry. Hillary hates it, man. Wow.
Now the next reporter is going to be, hey, I'm from CNN. Can I get a photo with you too? I wish that I got questions that easy.
All right, so we're all now complicit in watching a Nazi rally, as you saw here. So those white males are really responsible for all of this. It has nothing to do with the Democrats, nothing to do with calling Trump a Nazi for years, instigating these trans ideologies that are leading people to go into weird psychotic breaks who think that they can just go shoot people now, coming from their side, writing inscriptions on the bullets and eliminating people in multiple locations, happening in a repeated onslaught, which is exactly why Antifa needed to be designated a domestic terror organization so that these murderers stop murdering people from all sides. And Clinton, Crockett, and the rest of them can't help turn down the temperature on their side because they want more of it. They won't say that, but they're happy with the direction this is going. We're not. We're going to continue to speak loudly and advocate for liberty and freedom while they advocate for murder and death. And we think we'll be the winners and the victors in this battle. All right, so good updates over there. Now, let's talk about John Bolton and how in trouble he is. And we're going to need a picture of John Bolton here, just so you're familiar with who we're talking about. And yeah, this was from Politico. Yep, this is the one. Yep, indeed. John Bolton in big trouble. We now know that the FBI says that they got classified documents in his DC office. He was raided some time ago. We saw a bunch of people coming out with boxes and boxes of materials. And this guy was the former UN National Security Advisor, who's now probably going to be getting indicted. The same guy who's screeching and shouting from the rooftops about what a danger Trump is, lecturing Trump about classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. He had a bunch of them in his house, allegedly. Of course, this is going to continue to percolate as the investigation continues, and hopefully an indictment comes down the line soon enough. But we now have a copy of the documents that were just released, and we got our hands on this one courtesy of Just the News. And you can see the judge who issued this was Makshila Upadhyay. She's a U.S. magistrate judge, and she approved a search warrant into the residence and the office of John Bolton. And in this newly unsealed material, you can see a lot of this was actually sealed originally. And let me share with you some updates. Yes, so we looked at some of this originally to say, what could they go in and get? And remember, when we were first covering this, it's basically everything, okay? It's just like a standard warrant. You can come in, get everything, your Google accounts, your passwords, documentation, all sorts of materials. It's just a laundry list. It's like a shopping list. You go here, okay, we're going to make some criminal fraud prosecutions, classified documents prosecutions. Here's what we're looking for. Now, some things were not approved. So this is the judge cutting them out. This warrant authorizes the search of electronic devices if they believe, no, you can't do this. This one you can do if they're found within the rooms, if a person inside the room knows that they were used, but you can't just reasonably believe it. Okay, she's like, that's too broad, so I'm cutting that out. So she goes through, the warrant gets approved, and that's what came after all of this was submitted to her. So then the new affidavit explains the following. I am a special agent with the FBI. This is why we needed a search warrant. This is why we needed to go into Bolton's house. And I've done this a long time. A lot of physical and electronic surveillance and more. And all of the materials in this affidavit comes from my observations. And now we think that there is enough to support a search warrant of the office used by John Bolton to get all of the things that we're asking for that we just covered. For what charges? Aha. U.S. Code, Section 18 U.S. Code, Section 793D, saying you can't have possession of classified material. You can't willfully retain anything relating to national defense. That's against the law. And Section 793E, another criminal charge. You can't communicate these things. And also Section 1924, which is if you possess these documents, you cannot retain them without authority. Okay, can't have the documents. We saw a bunch of the same charges lobbied against President Trump for Mar-a-Lago. As we go through this, you'll see it tells us there's all sorts of different types of classifications. Obviously, top secret, secret, confidential, no foreign, not releasable to foreign nationals, SI, special intelligence, SCI, sensitive compartmented information, and more. And they've got a bunch of rules around why you cannot take these documents out. But now, with all of that said, here's what they say John Bolton did. This guy is 76 years old. He resides in Maryland. He's a former public servant, nearly 4 decades of service for his position with the U.S. government. He's an attorney. He was general counsel. And look, assistant administrator for USAID. Didn't even know that. John Bolton worked for USAID. Wow. What a surprise. Then he went over to the DOJ, then went to the UN, and then during the first term was Trump's national security advisor. And so he maintains locations at different spots, and we made this our target. Now, where did this material come from? His most recent position in the U.S. government was the National Security Advisor. He held that position from April 9th, 2018 to September 10th, 2019. That's for President Trump. During his duration, he held a top secret, sensitive compartmented information security clearance, top of the line. Now, Bolton directed the work and was supposed to safeguard these materials. Now, when in consideration for his appointment, Bolton went through and he signed all the forms, okay? He signed this. Yes, I know. You can't take classified documents. You understand? Yes. By signing these forms, he promised he wouldn't do anything of what he did. This paragraph has been redacted. Something happened in 2019. Redacted again. Something happened. We don't know. But then, paragraph 26, a letter was sent by the White House and the legal advisor after Bolton left the government. This is September 10th, 2019. The letter reminded Bolton, you're fired, so give us your information, any classified documents back. Return those. A copy of the letter was sent to his AOL email address. Oh my gosh, our national security advisor still using AOL email? He's like, well, I've had it for 40 years, so okay. Here's more. Redacted. Paragraph 29. Redacted, redacted, redacted. Fast forwarding. So according to government records, Bolton submitted a draft manuscript of his book, The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir. Oh, gross. And so they wanted pre-publication review. They sent a letter over to somebody, and we acknowledged receipt of this, and we did a review. And based on a preliminary review, the book, oh my gosh, what an idiot, contained significant amounts of classified information. Bolton is so dumb, he like turned himself in. He's like, I want to publish this book. Will you take a look at it? Classified document people? They're like, sure. Oh, it's filled with classified documents. He's like, I know, it's going to be amazing. Like, can't do that. It included classified information at the top secret level. So another letter was sent via email from Knight to Bolton's attorney. The letter said, you better modify and resubmit your manuscript, dummy. There's a large volume of classified information in this book that you're writing. The letter said, look, hey, John, as written, the manuscript is very detailed, suggesting that it was likely produced from notes written. They're sending this to Bolton's lawyer, probably coming from notes that your client made during his service. When your client received his employee debriefing, we asked him, do you have any notes? He said he did not have any notes or other records from his government service. Any notes that remain in your possession may fall under the requirements of Presidential Records Act and are subject to litigation. And so you better let us know if you have these notes or not, because they may contain classified information. Redacted. Can't see it. And Roy C. Lamberth absolutely hates Trump. But in ruling, he stated in the order that Bolton has gambled with the national security of the United States. Dang, he has exposed his country to harm and himself to civil and potentially criminal liability. Dang, that's what the judge said. Judge Royce C. Lamberth, not a fan of Trump at all. So anyways, so he's saying Bolton's like in big trouble. So he is. Now 35 redacted. We fast forward. And then there we go. Yeah, his AOL account got hacked. You're kidding. A letter sent via email from Knight to Bolton's attorney references, and of course we fast forward, and described a meeting held in person on the previous Friday night between Knight and Bolton to review the manuscript. So government and Bolton. According to the letter, Knight reviewed instances of classified information, and Bolton appeared to acknowledge, she says, the need to modify the manuscript. Yeah, I got to take that stuff out. Here's a photocopy of notes that Bolton took during the meeting, which have been redacted to remove classified info. Then some foreign entity hacks John Bolton's AOL account. Probably sent him an instant message. Little link. Hey, John, this is a AOL customer support. just here to help you reset your password. Just click this link for us. John's like, okay, well, sounds good. And he probably did it because he's using AOL, right? That's kind of, if you're using AOL, I haven't used it in a long time. In fact, I didn't even know they were still around. But there's a lot of other alternatives out there now. So 37 redacted, and I wonder what foreign entity hacked them. Of course, they're not going to tell us any of it. There's a lot in there. Some foreign entity was going hog wild in the emails. And then they found more from John Bolton, and he was sending love letters to somebody else. And John was subscribed to this site, and he was getting unsubscribes from here. It just goes on and on. And so we don't know exactly what was in there, but there was a lot, okay? We just fast forwarded like 15 pages. So based on my training and experience, including my familiarity with this, I respectfully submit there is probable cause that this dude had unlawful retention of classified national defense information, including copies of the documents in his office, probably in his AOL account, and now in the hands of insert country. Now, here's more. He knew about the rules. Okay, this guy's not an idiot. Throughout his career, including as a DOJ and NSA, he's already gone through this many times. He's made numerous public statements screaming about Trump, talking about the sensitivity of classified information, the impacts on national security if it's mishandled, his personal experience and practice in handling all this. That's why you can't listen to these people. They're just liars, many of them, and just not even understanding of what they're saying. They just say things. His frequent criticism of how other government officials like Trump handled this. Now, during a September 2016 interview, he discussed Hillary and her use of a private email server. And nothing happened to her either. Okay, so they all just think nothing's going to happen, so I can just use it as a political tool because there's classified information everywhere. He did another interview on Fox News. In 2025, he also offered his views on the Signal platform. Remember, Pete Hegseth was getting reamed over using Signal? And he said, and John says, initially, I was totally without words. I couldn't find a way to express how stunned I was that anybody would do this. John, you had your documents in your AOL account there, bucko. You simply don't use commercial means of communications like AOL, whether it's supposedly an encrypted app. He's like talking about this. Meanwhile, some foreign country stole his entire account. He's like, that's ridiculous. I can't believe you were so irresponsible. You know, you don't know where you're going to go. You could start off talking about a newspaper article, blah, blah, blah. There's no excuse for it. There is no excuse for it, John. How come you did it? When asked to comment on the Signal situation, they say it's overblown. Nothing even was substantive in there. I don't think that's a valid point. What can this do? What kind of damage can this cause? He goes on a tirade. In another interview on CNN, he said the same thing, blah, blah, blah. So he's running his mouth while he's got foreign entities stealing his docs, classified docs in his email account. That's exactly what was in here. Yep, there's this classified document related to this. There's this classified document related to that. He sent an email to somebody on this one. Somebody responded back. Lots of things going on here. It's probably all just a bunch of different documents because that's the missing part of the recipe. Okay, well, what is the national defense information? It's all in his emails. So here he goes on, another interview, more interviews, running his mouth. Here's what they say. All right, look. So now we're going to talk about the target office. Now, based on my training and experience, I know that individuals who engage in offenses like this probably have more documents in their homes and offices. And I know that they try to conceal this stuff on flash drives and more. Now, Bolton began using the office in December 2014. Yeah, so here's a YouTube video. I wonder who that's from. But anyways, technical terms, they say, okay, fast forwarding. What is a computer? Well, we know what it is. What is digital storage media? What is computer hardware? What's a telephone? What's a tablet? Computer passwords, ISPs, domain names, peer-to-peer file sharing, encryption, malware, blah, blah. Now, as described above, we want to go get the computers because he's got a lot of stuff on there, probably. And individuals who engage in criminal activity use a bunch of tech, SMS, text messages, and more. They'll also back up things. They'll have cloud servers. They'll have recovery passwords and more. Now, although some records in this warrant might be found in certain locations, they might also be found in other locations. Forensic evidence is something that we're looking for. and they try to hide it as well. So we got all the background. Now, probable cause from this agent. I submit that if a computer or storage medium is found in the office, it's probably going to have a bunch of other records on there. And so I want a bunch of permission to search for them. How can they conceal things? Sometimes they'll change. Oh, very sneaky. You think you're so clever, don't you? You change your JPG, your JPEG file extension over to a .text and then switch it back to conceal the image because the text open document, the text reader can't read a JPEG, silly goose. Moreover, certain file formats like PDFs aren't searched well, and so I got to go search for these things. And the target office, he says, is a functioning office, and it conducts legitimate business. And so I think there's probably going to be more there. I also, and the judge cancels this out, I also want biometric access to certain devices. If a device is equipped with a facial recognition feature, I would like to be able to just put it in front of his face. And the judge canceled this out. Said, actually, no. If law enforcement personnel encounter any device that are subject to seizure pursuant to this warrant and may be unlocked using one of the aforementioned biometric features, this warrant allows law enforcement to use that. She says no. Okay, so you can't put his fingerprint on there. You can't use his face. Can't do any of that. Judge said no. So he might still have stuff that is still locked. This warrant does not authorize law enforcement to require this person to give any passwords or unique fingerprints or any of those things. And so FBI special agent sent that in. Makshila Upadhyay, United States magistrate judge, approved it, and they got some good materials. One Dell Optiplex, one HP laptop model 17, one Dell laptop XPS, USB flash drive with a black with a green center, one binder that says U.S. Department of State Diplomatic Security, an introductory security briefing prepared for the transition team. That sounds like it's probably classified. One Dell Optiplex, a travel memo documents with pages labeled secret. Oh, U.S. mission to the United Nations with confidential documents inside. U.S. government strategic communications plan, confidential documents. Confidential documents with this type of heading. And weapons of mass destruction. Classified documents. That's the big kahuna right there. Search warrant, signed and asked for permission, certified by the special agent on 9/5/2025, not long ago. So the judge came out, signed off on the order, said go and get it. And it's interesting. I wonder, do we hear from Jake Tapper talking about, screaming about weapons of mass destruction like they did after Mar-a-Lago? Wow, Trump's, this is our whole country is going to die. No, because John Bolton has been a friendly to them. And this is pretty bad. So the most interesting part of this, as always, is usually the case. Not always, it's kind of a contradiction there. But as is usually the case, is this section. All of the redactions. And it sounds like everything was just tucked away in his AOL account and seized by some foreign entity. Oh, it's our government, man. And they brought Bolton on the cables like every night. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. They went through a handful of them. And he got hacked and weapons of mass destruction information now in the hands of some foreign intelligence. So John's in big trouble. He's going to be getting indicted soon. You can almost guarantee it. We've got the search warrant has been executed. They got their hands on the documents. This is being filed out of the District of Columbia. And so we'll keep our eye on this one. But John Bolton is in big trouble. All right, now let's turn our attention to Peter Strzok, another, in our opinion, corrupt FBI individual who suffered a blow today. And here is this one. Peter Strzok, the FBI lover who was texting Lisa Page saying about President Trump in the 2016 election, we will stop him. He got fired. He sued, and now he lost his lawsuit. Oh, no. And he was very unhappy with what happened to him. And so what he did is filed a complaint against Merrick Garland. Originally, it was against Bill Barr. And this was back in 2019. He submitted this 27-page complaint from Peter Strzok, and his FBI lover, of course, plays a role in this. But he sued Attorney General Bill Barr. And he said, I'm very special. I'm a special agent with the FBI. I'm incredible. And I've been so special for 25 years. I have a bunch of stickers on my refrigerator to show my mom. In June 2018, the FBI wanted to fire this guy because of his text messages that he had written. This is from his lawsuit he's suing. He's saying this. Just because he expressed his political opinions about the 2016 presidential election. And now, President Trump. The proposal to discharge Strzok identified other people, and they say it's illegal. He had free speech. You can't fire him for this. Then he was fired. August 9th, 2018. FBI said, get out of here. The discharge was effective immediately. Then they said, we got disparaged. You said a bunch of bad things about me, and you can't say those things because I have protected political speech. And so I can text my lover about stopping the president using the incoming president, using our agency to do it, to frame him like they did with Crossfire Hurricane and try to insurrect the actual victory. And Obama was behind it, meeting with Comey, meeting with Clapper, and the rest of them. So this action, this is being sued back in 2019 by Peter Strzok. Let me fast forward to the end just so I can show you essentially what he was demanding. He says, my constitutional rights have been violated. In fact, let me back up and show you, because he also included the text messages that are at issue here. He's saying, yeah, this is what we actually said. So here, February 12th, 2016, he's texting other people, including Lisa Page. Lisa, the GA is the FBI attorney in question, which was his lover, says, oh, Trump's abysmal. I keep hoping the charade will end and people will just dump him. She sends that. GA says, God, Trump is a loathsome human. This is during the primaries, but Peter responds, yet he may win. It's going to be good for Hillary. That didn't work out for them. And she says it is, like Hillary's just going to mop the floor with Donald Trump. Would he be a worse president than Ted Cruz? Says Strzok. Trump? She says, yes, I think so. I'm not sure. OMG, Trump's an idiot, said Strzok. He's awful, said Lisa. Strzok says on June 11th, they fully deserve to go and demonstrate the absolute bigoted nonsense of Trump. Why? For wanting to stop illegal immigration? FBI says, you F and cheating MFing Russians. Bastards, I hate them. She says, I'm sorry. Me too. And F the cheating MFing Russians. Bastards, I hate them. July 18, 2016. So they're thinking that the Russians are behind this. They set that up. Now, then he says, Trump is a disaster. I have no idea how destabilizing his presidency would be. It was great until you guys unleashed COVID. August 6, 2016, he says, I really like this. Quoting, Trump appears to have no ability to experience reverence, which is the foundation for any capacity to admire or serve anything bigger than self. To want to learn about anything beyond self, to want to know and deeply honor the people around you. Stupid platitudes that are meaningless, okay? You expect to read that like in a philosophy book. But he's talking to this woman. He's like, I'm going to be poetic. Maybe she'll let me touch her tonight. August 8th, 2016. Trump is like coming up in the polls. They're hitting the panic button and starting to freak out. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? She says, right? No, he's not. We'll stop it, baby. August 15th. Peter Strzok says, I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in the DD's office, the Deputy Directive Office, that there's no way that Trump gets elected. But I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40, okay? That is a clear setup. Now, you might say these are just two lovers just running their mouths. He's now bringing his office work into it. He's now talking about his government power and the mechanisms by which they can use that power to stop the president, Trump. August 15th, 2016. That's an abusive office. This dude belongs in jail. Now, we'll see if that ultimately happens, but maybe not. Statute of limitations and a bunch of other things have expired, I think, for some of the allegations or some of the claims that could be made about what happened all the way back during that time. And so he may be out of the woodwork, but he sued and now he has lost. Peter Strzok crushed by Judge Amy Berman Jackson. And this is a lefty judge. We've covered a lot of her work here. She managed the Clinton sock drawer case. She handled a bunch of other matters that we've talked about here, including some recent matters about Trump's injunctions, firings of certain people. I think it was the CFBP, but other things. But she's been around for a long time, no fan of Trump or the administration. And she says Peter loses. Here's what she writes. And of course, she's going to give him a little bit of extra glaze. Plaintiffs Peter Strzok, who served with distinction as an FBI special agent for 25 years, was fired. FBI fired him in August 2018. So he sued. And the reason of the firing was because they discovered thousands of text messages that Strzok and a government attorney exchanged on their FBI-issued phones that we just read, including many that contained derogatory comments about the very people they were investigating, Trump. At that time, or Trump's campaign people. Now, at that time, Strzok was leading the politically sensitive investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of the private email server. And they, of course, they covered that whole thing up. James Comey changed the memo, essentially, to change it from grossly negligent. He's like, oh, that's criminal. If it's grossly negligent, she's going to jail. But it's not grossly negligent, okay? That's ridiculous. It's just extremely careless. Remember that crap? Just perverting the words. And also was investigating Crossfire Hurricane, which was made up to try to stop Trump. Both Strzok and Lisa Page were also working with Robert Mueller. They were just hatchet people over for the DOJ and the FBI. With the investigation into potential Russian interference, which was all fake, okay? These are operatives whose sole job is to wage political lawfare from inside the government. Now, given the concerns that the set of disparaging messages that had been discovered, he was immediately removed from both investigations and all operational duties while they did an exam. Several months later, news of his removal from the special counsel team was reported in the press. The DOJ informed Congress why they publicly released the messages, and Thrust and the lawyer, Lisa, and their relationship came into the public eye because they were indicting each other like Fannie and Nathan. This provoked a firestorm of criticism of the FBI because, of course, it was a political attack. They were openly talking about it on FBI phones. That's the type of arrogance they have. The Office of the Inspector General also issued its mid-year investigation, including into Strzok's messages. It concluded that while there was no indication that bias had tainted the inquiry, it's ridiculous. We live in such a scam government. They investigate themselves and they find they did nothing wrong. We just read the messages. He said we need a backup plan, an insurance policy to stop Trump. But no bias in any of his work. He set that aside when he was launching the investigations. They had demonstrated extremely poor judgment and a gross lack of professionalism. That's all they get. The FBI's damaged reputation for neutral fact-finding had been obliterated. The matter then fell within the purview of OPR. And they said, okay, at least fire him. In the notice, they advised Peter that they had concluded their investigation, and based on a preponderance of the evidence, like 51% more likely than not, the allegations were substantiated. You got to be fired. It said the assistant director makes the final decision. He availed himself. He wanted to be heard. He says, you can't fire me. I need to rig more elections and try to take out my more political opponents. They said that no matter what happened, no matter what you say to me, the FBI director could still fire you. So then after the meeting, he transmitted a proposed last chance agreement. He's like, please don't fire me. I want to continue to rig things. Says he offered to accept the lesser sanction. Just don't fire me, okay? I'll take a 60-day suspension and you can demote me. I won't appeal that. And I could be fired if I get any infraction in the future again, okay? So he's like begging, just keep me on board. After consideration of all of this, the assistant director said no. And while termination would have been warranted, the appropriate penalty she reverses and says it's actually 60 days and demotion. She told them that, yeah, actually, I think we should keep him for 60 days. That sounds appropriate. And so what if he was exercising extremely gross, unprofessionalism and whatever else they said? That's okay. He's really sorry now. She informed the agency's deputy director of how she wanted to proceed. He said she'd think it over. And the next morning, he informed her, actually, I'm going to overrule you. Sorry. He's going to be fired. Shout out to that dude. David Bowditch did the right thing. She tried to keep this dude because they just love themselves. Nobody can do any wrong if you're in the FBI and you're working for the FBI's interest, which in this case was to stop the president. They agreed that the letters announcing their separate determinations would be delivered. He'd get them both, and they were. So he says, well, you can't fire me. The original recommendation was to keep me and just suspend me for 60 days. Bunch of stuff got filed. He sued. Now, the Privacy Act claim was later dismissed, and discovery is now complete. And so we've got both sides filing motions for summary judgment just so that they can win. Now, she says, it's undisputed that Strzok served his country with distinction for 25 years. No, it is disputed, okay? That's why he got fired, because he was acting with disrepute. And he was promoted several times, got stickers for his refrigerator to show his mama. Prior to the events, he was among the FBI's leading counterintelligence experts. Actually, he was an idiot because he thought that the Russians or actually manufactured fake claims about the Russians stealing the election. It's not even accurate at all. So how can he be considered an expert? Widely recognized as extremely intelligent. It's like, good golly, Judge, like, you inviting him over for dinner too? It is important to underscore, but we're not being asked here whether termination was appropriate. It's not up to the court to decide whether to end this career after a long, unblemished record of outstanding service to the agency. Judge, this is perverse. You can't do this in a public court record. It's almost like borderline intercourse with him, saying to address the lack of professionalism and all the things, they can still fire you. But the court has no say about whether firing can actually happen. I can't substitute my judgment for that of the agency. I can't say that their justification was wrong and you have to be reinstated. Reasonable minds can differ. And so the sole question that can be asked here is whether this termination is in alignment with the Constitution. They interviewed, they deposed everybody. They went after the deputy AG, the then director of the FBI. They were trying to get the president. And after a thorough review, there is no genuine dispute of material fact that would preclude the entry of summary judgment in the defendant's favor, the government's favor. He sued Merrick Garland. Of course, now that's inherited by the current DOJ. And so you lose. When assessing your First Amendment claim, the court must balance your interest in speaking versus the employer's interest in making sure that you're not saying those things. The court considered all of these things. We considered his rank, his particular position, and we find that his interest in expressing his political opinions on his FBI phone is outweighed by the FBI's interest in avoiding the appearance of bias. Yeah, so that's interesting, Judge. But you still say he's like unblemished and incredible, and he's got 25 stickers on his refrigerator. Yeah. Also, while plaintiff's memo marshals considerable indignation because he's just crying, he cannot point to evidence that supports the conclusion that he was treated more harshly than other people, saying the situation was unprecedented. Okay, there were no comparators. Nobody else was talking about insurance policies for Trump. Now, his due process claim is also misrepresenting the facts. Go figure. Once one gets past the rhetoric that comes from him, and we just saw that in his poetry to Lisa, and considers the undisputed factual record, it becomes clear there is no evidence that this Strzok entered into a contract with Will. He didn't have property interest, and he could have been fired. And so for these reasons, the motions for summary judgment from the government will be granted and win, and Peter's motion will be denied. The full memo has been docketed under seal, which would be great to read. And we can't see it because there's a lot more juicy bits in there. But the judge, Amy Berman Jackson, has now found Peter Strzok, you lose. Your case has now been adjudicated via summary judgment. And we'll see, maybe he'll text his lover about this and say, hey, baby, we failed. We'll see if that happens. We'll keep our eye on it and see if anything else comes into this. Of course, he is a co-conspirator in an ongoing conspiracy to weaponize the government against President Trump. And maybe in a RICO indictment or some broader conspiracy indictment, we can reach on back into his criminality and bring it in to the current age. We'll keep our eye on this one. Thanks for subscribing and joining as we do. All right, one more update, my friends. This one about the FBI director who is now apparently about to be indicted. Here is this story. James Comey in big trouble. They say an indictment is coming soon. And we know it can be filled with all sorts of goodness because this man is a criminal. And we're looking forward to see all this adjudicated in courts of law all across America with him and other co-conspirators who tried to steal the presidency and rig several elections. Now, the report is coming over from Ken Delanian. He says, former FBI James Comey director says, for years, the target of the president's ire is expected to be indicted in the coming days in the Eastern District of Virginia. It's got a brand new prosecutor there, where a prosecutor who opposed bringing the case was recently fired. Three sources, familiar with the matter, told MSNBC. The full extent of the charges being prepared is unclear, but the sources believe that at least one element of the indictment, if it goes forward, will accuse him of lying to Congress during his testimony on September 30th, 2022, about whether he authorized a leak of information, which we've talked about here. We've seen a ton of evidence to support that. The 5-year statute of limitations on that charge would lapse on Tuesday. So the clock is ticking. And here is what the MSNBC report had to say with these very upset people here. Look at that scowl. Look at those scowls there. He's going to be indicted. Oh, gosh. Here you go.
James Comey is expected to be indicted in the coming days. The full extent of the charges being prepared against Comey is unclear. Joining us now, MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian and MSNBC Senior Investigative Correspondent Carol Lenig, Chris O'Leary, Ashley Parker still with us. Carol, help us understand the reporting.
So, Katie, we have some sources who say that for several weeks now, the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia, and actually in offices that are potentially much further south than Alexandria, have been eyeing ways to indict Comey, and they are getting very much closer. The statute of limits, rephrase, they are arguing that Comey, there is evidence to suggest Comey lied to Congress in his testimony on the Hill in September of 2020. And for viewers out in the audience who may not be legally as nerdy as me and Ken, I'll just say that there's a statute of limitations to charge people with the crime of lying to Congress or perjury, and that's 5 years. The 5-year statute runs this month.
Yeah, and they had other congressional charges filed against guys like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon. Remember, they got subpoenas to come in and testify and give a bunch of information. Congress says, we want it. They didn't give it to them because they have executive privilege. They went to jail for that. They put Peter Navarro in leg irons on an airport tarmac tube. And now, apparently, there's good evidence that Comey lied to Congress. Here's another report from CNBC. A lot of this coming from the rumor mills. Here's what they say.
Multiple sources familiar are telling them that former FBI Director James Comey is expected to be indicted within coming days. They say this is a fluid situation, but that is the current expectation, is that an indictment would come out of the Eastern District of Virginia, potentially on allegations of lying to Congress back in 2020 in testimony up on Capitol Hill. Now, you'll remember, Scott, that the Eastern District of Virginia is where President Trump recently forced out a prosecutor who he argued was not moving fast enough to move ahead with charges against some of the people that President Trump views as his political enemies. You saw over the weekend the president posting on social media urging his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to proceed with cases against James Comey and others. The president tweeting over the weekend, or posting over the weekend, I should say, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story, no talk, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. So the president urging his attorney general to move forward with cases against those folks. Now this new reporting from MSNBC suggesting that Comey, anyway, is expected to be indicted in the coming days, but of course cautioning this is a fluid situation and that could change. But that is the reporting as of right now.
All right, so we'll see if that ultimately happens. We had a clip provided over courtesy of Maze Moore on X explaining what Comey's lying looked like. Watch Comey lie under oath about the seriousness of Russian election interference. The memo that DNI Gabbard released proves clearly that Comey was lying during his testimony. He needs to be held accountable for this. And here is what he said back in front of Congress, which might lead him to be in jail.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community.
Wrong.
And,
Why?
And the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call.
Yes, it is. We saw how the whole thing was created. They made it up after sending report after report to Obama many times, saying it's not a big deal, not a big deal, not a big deal. Then one day hit, I think it was 12-9. Trump had won. 12-9, Obama, Clapper, Comey, all of them come in. They pull out the 12-8 presidential daily brief, and nix that one, replace it with this new report. And then Obama orders a deep dive intelligence assessment. Then they came out with the January 2017, before Trump came in, assessment saying that it was all Russia collusion, trying to institute a coup to keep the president from taking office, saying that his victory was illegitimate and the Russians hacked the system. Well, we learned, of course, that a big part of that intelligence, according to the newly declassified annexes, was the Steele dossier, which was Hillary Clinton paid propaganda. They used that as a pretext and then classified the whole annex so you couldn't see that that is what it was based on. And there were major disagreements inside the intelligence agencies. We read through all of the Tulsi Gabbard releases, and this dude is a liar. Lied to Congress, knew much better. They created the whole hoax, and now they say he's about to be indicted. And they say they also might be getting Tishy Lay-Tish as well on top of the whole thing.
Office is expected to charge Tish James, the New York Attorney General, with mortgage fraud. And of course, Donald Trump, we all saw it posted on Truth Social in recent days, exhorting his Attorney General to charge both of those people as soon as possible. But again, this is, grand juries are secret. This is a fluid situation. It's also important to know, though, that the U.S. attorney, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in this office, Eric Siebert, was essentially forced out last week, in part because he was refusing to bring these cases. We're told that he was opposed to prosecuting both James and Comey on these grounds, and he's out in office.
Yeah, he's out, and that's how this works. Bad prosecutorial discretion. No more political hacks in office. And they always do this thing. Trump is commenting on... Trump was the victim of each of these individuals, and they organized and tried to create an opportunity to steal the election back, hoping that it would catch on before he came into power. So Tish targeted him and weaponized her office, Bolton did the same. Comey did the same. And now they are going to pay the legal price for that. And as they lectured us for 4 years, no one is above the law. All right, my friends. So it has been a beautiful stream. If you're just joining us, quick recap on what we talked about. Got the latest on Joshua John. And let's do a refresh over here. We got 3 new updates. Anything new? Yeah, the sniper's perch was close to the Dallas ICE field office, 500 feet away. They're gathering evidence on the roof of the 3-story building where he was believed to have fired shots. All 3 victims were in a van, and the gunman also fired indiscriminately at the building. And they have an update. Dallas city leaders are reacting outside of Dallas. Leaders link the Dallas ICE shooting to the rise in anti-ICE rhetoric. That's interesting. Where's that rhetoric coming from? Is it from white male Christians? Interesting. Who are anti-ICE? I don't know. Hillary thinks so. So we got the latest on that. We talked about it. We got JD Vance hanging out. Got the updates from Cash on what the bullets and the clip looked like. We had updates from Trisha. Laura Loomer says mom's a giant lib of this dude. And we have a prospect from acting ICE director Todd Lyons that this is only going to get worse from here. And it seemingly is so because Hillary Clinton is now blaming white male Christians without saying it. Saying that we're going to try to return the country to slavery or something like that. Really ratcheting down the temperature. Great job there, Hillary. So she's doing that. Meanwhile, in Georgetown, they're still posting images like this that say, hey, fascist, catch. Not talking about a baseball game either. And JD at a Nazi Klan rally brought on this nice gentleman. They took a photo before they went to their Nazi after party. All right, so we talked about that. Then we went through the John Bolton latest, and man, he's in big trouble. He had a bunch of materials in his AOL account. Then they went and actually found more materials when they raided him, and some of those materials include weapons of mass destruction classified documents. John and some foreign country hacked his AOL email account. This was our national friggin' security advisor. Somebody needs to advise him about AOL. Ugh. What are we doing? Then we talked about Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok, the FBI lover, lost his lawsuit. This fellow right here. And probably very unhappy about that. Here you can see we read through the order from Amy Berman Jackson that says, yeah, you can't substitute your firing. You were fired. I can't substitute my judgment about your firing with that of the decision of the FBI. And your First Amendment claims are just kind of a bunch of platitudes and overly engineered rhetoric that's not even that good. We saw your poetry to your lover. And so you lose. Then we wrapped it up talking about James Comey and how the reporting from MSNBC, according to 3 sources, is now going to be indicted very soon. And of course, we're hoping that this is just the start of something big. But now, my friends, it is time to hear from you. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, we're beta testing live streaming on Locals. And so come join us for the after party over there if you'd like to hang out and see what goes on there, because we'll just continue the stream on that platform, of course, on Locals and on YouTube too. But now, my friends, it is time to hear from you. And thank you, John, and thank you, Donut, for clipping for us this afternoon. We got some nice comments that have come in. Thank you, gentlemen. We've got Happy Wednesday from Elmo celebrating. It's all downhill from here. We got Thursday coming tomorrow, and then it's a Friday. We're excited. What's up, Artiff? In the house. Great to see you, Artiff. Thanks for becoming a supporter, grabbing those members-only streams. We had a good one this morning, and we'll have an after party here coming up. Knox Bierman says, good afternoon, all. I know everyone wants to get all about this lefty tranny thing, but I have read enough autopsy reports dealing with gunshot wounds, and for context, Knox is a defense attorney in Texas, to know that a bullet this size would be sticking out of the neck like an arrow. Yeah, from a 30-06. So are we talking about the neck, Charlie's neck? Knox says the neck is all vasculature and muscle, with the only bony structure being the spine, which is mid-neck. Most projectiles recovered from the corpse are very small. Even a 9mm is unique to remain lodged, and that is usually recovered from an organ. Yikes. Yeah. I know the bullet and, the Man of Steel post from the surgeon's conclusion that he was just like strong boned. It is, I think, an open question. And, I justified it by thinking it hit something, right? And ricocheted up. So it may have even splattered, right? And kind of, shredded. And it was something else that hit him. But if it was a direct shot from a 30-06 to the neck, I mean, it's just like, maybe he was Superman. Knox, thank you for that. What's up? Sev Russ, great to see you. A shooter in my backyard, a.k.a. Dallas. Another reason I carry both concealed and open, from Sev Russ. Man, yeah. And that's a lot more common in Texas. Yeah, we don't see a lot of that, I think, in other places, but every time I go to Texas. So I encourage it. Thank you, Severus. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for the dono and for being an awesome membo. Kenny May, what's up, Kenny? Welcome aboard. And Stefan Bonev, great to have you both. We had a great members-only stream this morning. We'll see you in a few minutes as well. Dance Master, you too. I don't think we can do member streams on Rumble yet, but thank you for supporting us over there, nonetheless. And come over to Substack to see what is happening on the after party. John, what's up? No one is above the law. No one is above the law. Definitely not. Comey, Bolton, Strzok, and the rest of them. Milan, what's going on? Have you seen the new ruling from SCOTUS doing a smackdown on a rogue judge? No, not. If I had, probably would be talking about it today. Wonder what it was. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow. Thanks for flagging. I'll have to look it up. Thank you, Milan. Chubby says, okay, well, just so everyone knows, Chuck Shameless Schmuck Schumer, good, says it was just more gun violence, not leftist violence. Yeah, of course. Guess this Josh guy was forced by the rifle, and then it turned on him too. Yeah, so the guns did the violence, right? The gun just got up and started shooting detainees. And then when it was done, it got violent against the owner, Josh. As we know, that's not how it works. Off Label says there has now been a pew pew a day for a week. It's not good, man. Yeah, it's not good. And I don't want it to escalate, because then you start to talk about domestic terrorism. Then you have domestic surveillance to go get the domestic terrorism. Then you have to have censorship and, scrutiny and facial scans and recognition. I mean, it could go bad for us very quickly, but you also can't allow terrorists to shoot your people and kill them. So, we got to balance this thing. And that's why we need responsible, strong leadership. And that's why we're here. Hey, what's up? Cyrus Jalali says, a joke. It looks like CNN and MSNBC analysts have been taking too much extra strength Tylenol, so their brains are fried. From Cyrus. Yeah, and we were talking about that today. The White House had some fun posts. They said Trump is right about everything. Let me see if I can grab this real quick. They posted about the Tylenol thing. Let's post today. We've got the auto pen. And of course, I'm not seeing it. Here it is. Boom. The White House, 8 hours ago. And they posted this because Tylenol said that actually we don't recommend it for pregnancy. We actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. 2017 post. Thank you for taking the time to voice your concerns today. White House says Trump was right about everything. And yesterday, we saw a bunch of libs on TikTok and elsewhere guzzling Tylenol. Like, I trust the science. You would just listen to the manufacturer. They say don't take it. Thank you, Cyrus. Natalie Ray, what's up? Says, hey, I'm confused about Substack. Me and rubbed some dirt on it, played around this morning. On mobile iOS, it has 0 perks. Can't share links, can't share GIFs, nothing. Strictly text and chat covers over your video. What operating system are you using? Do we need to actually sit at a desktop for those extra options? Well, Natalie, you don't have to do anything, really. If you don't like the platform, you don't have to use it at all. We're not going to, abandon locals or YouTube. So you can just hang tight on locals if you want. But there are additional features on Substack that are not on locals. And I don't know what they all are, but I'm not expecting you to sit on a desktop or anything. If you don't like it, just don't use it. Like Locals is not going anywhere, but there are it's got a bigger community. There's a bunch of it's a huge platform. You can do like posts. The chat is perpetual. Like on Locals, we can't have a perpetual chat after the live stream. It ends, the chat's over. So I believe you can, log into the chat, and people are posting GIFs over there. So I don't have iOS, so I can't validate any of those things, but thanks for playing around with it. And, again, it's not going to be for everybody. And a lot of people don't like Locals. They won't come over to Locals because, it doesn't serve their needs. Totally understand that, which is why we try to be platform diverse. So you can join us wherever it is best for you. But thank you for the feedback. It's interesting. I'll have to see if that is repeatable for all iOS devices. But thank you, Natalie. I appreciate the feedback. Hey, 200 Watt Studio. Gee, I'm starting to think the gun control people are trying to tell us gun control is needed for them to keep guns away from them. Yeah, they're like, if you don't have gun control, we're going to keep shooting you. So you might want gun control. It's actually one of the better arguments that they have. Well, I guess maybe we shouldn't let you have guns, Rubos, President Trump is calling out the UN for their sabotage of his visit yesterday. How many of you think the UN should be kicked out of New York and the USA? Probably a high percentage here. So thank you, the Rubos, for flagging that one for us. I'm sure we'll hit that one in the morning. Stefan Bonev. Thank you, Stefan, for another reminder to check your private messages. I will do that when I can. Thank you for the reminder. Fred Pedamonte. Candace has videos of MT Crooks aiming pistols. Thomas Matthew Crooks aiming pistols from Fred Pedamonte from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Bodie says, I went to Turning Point yesterday. Pretty overwhelming and emotional, man. That's outside Turning Point headquarters in Arizona. Man, look at all that love. People mourning for Charlie. That's awesome you went over there, Bodie. Thanks for sharing the video and the picture so we can see it. Hey, Michelle, I've been thinking about this. For every day the government shuts down, taxpayers can multiply days in shutdown by 25% and subtract that percentage off the amount of federal taxes owed for the year. That's a good start. I think also we can just shut down the IRS, and just eliminate income tax because the government's not functioning. Got to make cuts somewhere. IRS is a good place to start. Yeah, it'd be nice to have some tax relief because they're already inflating our money away from us, and now they're taxing us on the back end too. And we're catching it from both ends. Former LEO, law enforcement is incorrect in how they deal with protests / unlawful assemblies. By allowing the unlawful behavior, it just encourages more unlawful behavior. Every participant in an unlawful assembly, it's the law, should be taken into custody and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. It worked in the 1970s, and it will work again to have people who participate in unlawful assemblies and other crimes be fearful of prosecution and possible jail time. What they are doing now is not working. From former LEO, who's been around a while, handling nefarious actors. This old guy says, John Bolton is the reason I'm clean shaven. My mustache looked too much like his. From this old guy. That's great. I'm sure you pulled it off much better because yours didn't come with the desire to go to war with everybody you ever met, I would imagine. Hey, what's up? Hello, Jacob. Look at this very nice bear waving hello to Jacob. Hey, Jacob Hawley. Jacob Hawley says, crazy attack in Texas. I saw it. Keep your head on a swivel. I feel that things are about to pop off. You're not alone, man. I mean, the Secret Service or the acting ICE director said the same. Stay strapped and have neighborhood watches. Be ready. I'm scared for our country. Look at Tim Pool. This is what CW, the Civil War word, looks like. Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, like you may not even think we're in a war, but they do. They're actually talking about lobbing bullets at fascists at Georgetown. Hey, fascist, catch. They're raiding. We talked about this morning with, I think her name is Katie Daviscourt over on X. She was outside Portland. They were trying to insurrect the entire building. They had to go arrest some people, finally. So, we may not understand. I think many people don't. I understand, I think, the stakes, but probably not to the extent that we are. I mean, when I saw Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck, I thought, oh, okay. Things are definitely different now. It's not what it used to be. I don't know if it's a full-blown civil war, but it might be a soft or a cold civil war that is percolating. But they're not in a state of peace when they're saying we are a group that supports dead Nazis, and they just define Nazis however they want to define them. The only political group that celebrates when Nazis die. That's their ideology. So what are you supposed to do with this group, the people who are behind here? What do you suppose? They think you're a Nazi because you want your country to have sound immigration policies. You don't want to be in a bunch of foreign wars. You want to have, safe streets and communities. And you love American culture and the American Constitution. They think you're a Nazi. They thought Charlie Kirk was a Nazi. He wasn't anything even remotely close to a Nazi. And they killed him for it. So what do you do? How do you negotiate with those people? So, we may not think we're in a war yet. I think there's a part of me that does not want to be in a war. I don't want to go to war with our fellow countrymen. Are you kidding me? I want them to stop salivating over murder. Stop saying that you just need to die. Stop indulging in catch bullets in this type of rhetoric. Why don't you just have good ideas? Why can't you just have a convention where you talk about these things? Because they can't. They don't have any ideas. The only way that they can win is through violence, and we can't allow them to win. So we don't want and we don't condone any violence at all. I actually think that we're going to beat them with liberty and freedom and the principle that comes from the 12 steps and is codified in AA. It's about attraction over promotion. If you're promoting something, it makes people recoil, which is what the left has done for decades. Oh, you have to be diverse. You have to have inclusivity. You have to let your country be invaded. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Shoving it, brainwashing you for decades. All of us. Affirmative action and DEI just changes different forms. And that continues to escalate. And then we reach the point that we're at now. And they think it's justified to start shooting people. So I don't know how there's any, negotiation with them. But ultimately, if we continue to be attractive and live attractive lives, healthy, happy, godly, in connection with America, in connection with source energy, we're going to vibrate at a higher frequency. We already are. We're going to glow in ways that they cannot. It's good versus evil, light versus darkness. And so we got to double down on those things that make our side great and continue to have energy and enthusiasm for life. And they don't have it. You can just kind of see it in their faces. Souls are hurting, and there is a better way to live. They don't have to engage with this nonsense about shooting people and wanting people to die, who they label as Nazis. Jacob, thank you for the nice dono. I hope we're not in a civil war, but they're shooting people. Chubby, what's up? Foreign entities hacked Bolton? Is this Fang Fang honeypot strikes again? Yeah, you remember Fang Fang. She was the Chinese spy who made Bang Bang with Eric Swalwell. So, I don't know. Did Bolton have a Fang Fang? I don't know. Who knows? She's like, I want to talk to you about your nuclear bombs, John. He's like, oh, I love nukes. Let's talk about them. King of Biltong. Did you know that King of Biltong specializes in imported foods? Check out Biltong USA for a great selection of imported food items and, of course, Biltong. BiltongUSA.com. Code Robert for 10% off of Biltong. Thank you, Biltong. And don't forget to use promo code Robert, of course. This old guy. It's scary to realize that Bolton apparently had less security in his network usage than I had in mine 25 years ago. Yeah, like what's his password? Like password 123 or something? John? And you got to imagine, man, like how long has that AOL account been in place? And he's been sending emails through it. It's like, how does the NSA not say, you can't use AOL, okay? You're not using personal email at all. We're clearing up everything that you've ever sent. You're the national security advisor. They can't let you have an old personal email account that is riddled with stuff. Because what if it gets hacked? Now you're compromised. They're just like, well, it's his personal email, so we'll just let him do whatever he wants on it. Same with Hillary. These are crazy things. Chubby says, read it in a philosophy book. Nah, more like the bathroom stall divider at the truck stop. No, he's trying to be philosophical, but he just sounded like a whiner who was trying to recite poetry. Wendy Donnelly, a.k.a. Dottie's mom in the house. What's up? Scott Hodevet in the house. Welcome aboard, Scott. Sandra Logue. We got John Hancock, Jeffrey NG. Welcome, Tisha Sutton. The Sues. Grumpy Old Man is here. AT1, CVB 41. Welcome. Is that a ham radio or airline number? Josh S. Welcome. And Sassy Tech. All gifted membos, courtesy of Dottie's mom. Thank you for becoming membos, watching on YouTube. We're going to head over for our after parties in just a minute, and we'd love to see you there. Dark Ginger, 27 months as a membo, says if Comey, that's 3 babies, if Comey isn't indicted, Bondi needs to go. Well, and we got the clock ticking on this, so we've got until Tuesday. We might see a sequence of new indictments. It's going to be like Christmas in September. It's going to be great. Hey, Amber Mellenbacher, has anyone looked up the URL on the fascist image? Looked up the URL? Oh, you mean the QR code? I have not, no. I have not. But it's all over Georgetown. And Georgetown, as we know, is a intelligence agency farm club. PD Dunn. Welcome, PD Dunn. And thank you for the dono, PD Dunn. Thumbs up from the nice pair. We appreciate that. Thank you, PD. We got Phil. Welcome, Phil. Great to have you as a supporter. We'll see you on the after party as well. Jeffrey Adams. Florida just became open carry. Amazing. So you guys can be like Texas now. It's great. We don't have a lot of that in Arizona, but yeah, maybe we should. Cut up chatter. Why are none of my guns animated? Gee. So in other words, why aren't your guns like standing up and like tap dancing around your house? And you have to like keep your guns calm or else they'll commit gun violence? No, chill. Don't go crazy. Or is it about the person behind the gun? Yeah. Dennis Madera. Hey, we need to cool the temperature, okay? Letting the lunatic fringe move the chess pieces is dangerous. Yeah, no, I think there's a strong probably hope that the right will get violent and start burning cities down or something like that. But that's just not who we are. That's not what we do. We like to build things and preserve things, not destroy them and tear them down. So I think we're already mostly hardwired for that, which is why, I'm not jumping in like it's a civil war. We're at war. My hope is that we don't need to, that this violence actually tones down sooner rather than later once they realize that it's not a good political strategy. Also, just shooting people in America is not a good political strategy. In other countries, maybe it is. But, taking out your political opponents, putting them in jail, lawfare, all the things. We just had lawfare. They tried to they did try to kill Trump. But in addition, they tried to destroy his whole life. And it backfired against them politically. People were disgusted by it. And now there's a big contingent of the Democratic Party that is endorsing murder. So people will be disgusted by it. We just have to hold the line on it, I think. Paul Clink, what's up? Trump escalator. Think freezing the target bad. He posted about that. We'll read through the full thing. Thank you to the Rubos for flagging it for us. We'll hit it in the morning. We got to, save some stuff to talk about, right? Milo phone bill. Josh John thought the van was full of Nazis? I guess. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Be curious to see who he's connected to and where he came from. Jess Stewart, AA gave me my dad back. Man, it's a great program. It's a great program. And if you know I go to a men's group every Tuesday. It's virtual. So if you care to join us, just let me know. But Hope it's for men at 6 p.m. my time. So it's like 9 p.m. Eastern. But we have availability. AA gave me my dad back. Hope it gives the USA back. And I really think that principle has stuck with me. There's a lot of principles in AA that stick way beyond AA because it's just brilliant. It was written a long time ago by very smart men. And promotion versus attraction, right? Just if you can just create an attractive life, you're going to gain a lot more attention and people are going to come to you and say, I want what you have. How did you do that? Versus saying, you should do this. You should do this. Promotion, promotion, promotion. Get sober, get sober, get sober, get sober. You're going to kill yourself, whatever. It doesn't work. Instead, you start to realize of your own volition, you don't have control over this thing, and something else is a lot more attractive. That's how it applies to AA, but it applies to a lot of other things, right? You can get on with your business and punch people in the face with it many times, but if you make an attractive offer, people will come to you. Amber Mellenbacher, our daughter is at WSU. Since Charlie, she's gone off the deep end. She now shut out all immediate family. We raised her better. Pray for college students. Spiritual warfare is happening for sure. Yeah. And did you guys see that Megyn Kelly clip? Megyn Kelly said that she talked to somebody, and apparently after the Jezebel psychos put a hex on Charlie, they convened like an emergency prayer group to counteract the hex. People are like, this is crazy. This is so spiritual. Like, what is this, like the Salem witch trials? Yeah. We have people screaming that they love murder. What is that other than evil? Thinking people should be shot in the neck for sharing their opinions. It's disgusting. So I'm sorry to hear that, Amber Mollenbacher. We will absolutely pray for your daughter at Washington State. I don't know what you do, right? I don't have kids in college or anything like that, but she's an adult. She's going to stay there. Can you pull them out of these places? I mean, the colleges are just little hellholes as far as I could tell. It was a dumpster when I was there, and I don't think it's gotten any better. Hey, Stefan Bonev. Know some info about Ho train aggressor, accept chat. Okay, Stefan, we will. Thank you for that. Ho train aggressor. So accept the chat. All right. We'll definitely get to it, Stefan. Thank you for the repeated requests. Jess Stewart, I thought you might be my stepbrother. Trying to connect the dots. Where could we be related? Either way, it feels like that, doesn't it, Jess? Jess Stewart, thank you for that. And I'm really glad that your dad found the program, worked the program. You know, it's more than just about alcohol, okay? Alcoholics Anonymous is really about addiction and addictive thinking and the contortions that we create for ourselves in our brains. So how do you unravel that? There's 12 simple steps you got to go through. It's in the context of alcohol in the book, but it's been created for Narcotics Anonymous, for alcohol, for Gamblers Anonymous. Like, it applies to a bunch of things because the problem is not the drinking. The problem is the thinking. So you got to fix the thinking. All right. So it's good. And I love AA talk, man, how they talk in, there's like kind of a language, a vocabulary that develops. It's fun. All right. What's up, my friends? We got some stuff on X. Let's see what we got. This is a real photo of John Bolton right here. That's him. That's when he was just a little baby John. Oh, little John, little baby in a little baby carriage. All right. So thank you, Fred Pedamonte. Neuro D, what's up? Neuro D says, hey, Rob, local support says the video processing issue has been fixed. That's great news because your boy has been losing his gasket about that. That's why we're now testing Substack. Fred Pedamonte, the 5-round clip is from a Mauser K, and thank you for checking on that, Neuro D. From a Mauser K98 79257. That is an extremely powerful bullet. Yeah, and yeah, it looks like it. I mean, he killed at least one. Fiona's Nana. Did you hear about the latest? Peter Strzok lost his First Amendment case. We did. We just covered that, Fiona. Judge Amy Berman Jackson did that. Good to see you, Fiona. Following you back right now. Thanks for being over there. Great to have you. And Neuro D, once again, thanks for looking into that. We were having some video processing issues on locals, and your boy blew a gasket. Been happening, a little bit more often lately. Jess Stewart, I'm in a group too. There you go. Thus, Step Bro. Good to have you, Jess. Man, congrats on that. It's good. Like the men's group is one of the best things I do every week because no matter where you are, you just kind of pause, you be of service for just an hour, read the book, talk to some other bros, explain what's going on in your life. It's not always AA, right? Sometimes you just kind of need to talk through some other stuff. It's great. I really encourage it. I think it's an ancient tradition to connect with like-minded individuals. In fact, everybody talks about it. I mean, it's been in some of the best self-help books of all time, like Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill, talks about the power of the mastermind, getting groups of people with like-minded interests together to ideate on how to improve themselves and the world around them. And it's a powerful format. And you think about it, even like around a campfire, circling up, talking through things. Some of the most profound conversations you'll ever have are in those environments. And until recently, that's what we used to do. Sitting behind our screens and computers, which our men's group is on computers, is, on Zoom, but it still is, an impactful thing, especially I think for dudes and for women, to have that male energy, that brotherly love, and that womanly, feminine energy. I think it's important stuff. So I encourage it and support it, whatever it is. Like, it doesn't have to be an AA group, but, find a mastermind. In many ways, that's what we're doing here. We're coming together. We have similar values, similar desires of our society. And by coming together, we're actually 1 + 1 = 3, rather than just you being alone. Sharpie Guy, there is a counter argument, Rob, that suggests Charlie was shot from behind, that lends credence to a different shooter and actually goes together with my original suspicion. As well, sir, the drop-off radar from the plane we all suspected first off. Watched it video, and does make sense to me that Charlie was shot from behind. I'm not 100% on board, but it makes a lot of sense. You perhaps might want to take a look, brother. Please don't account me in all in piezo, please. Hugs to all watchers. Yeah, and I've heard that, but then wouldn't they have mentioned somewhere that there was an entry wound in the back of the head somewhere? Like, if it came out the neck from Charlie, then, and they have the bullet apparently. So if it's an exit wound, they said the bullet was lodged in his neck. So if it was an exit wound and it came out that side, then the bullet wouldn't be in the skin, which is where they said it was. So look, I have a lot of questions about it too. And it's a weird one because there's all these tactical people, tons of videos, and like nobody really can piece it together. Every good theory has a yeah, but to it. And even if and by the way, I think that the most evidence supports to the lone shooter, the one guy with the tranny boyfriend who did it. But if he used the weapon, like maybe he used a different weapon, but if he used the weapon that he says he used, I've seen a bunch of people are recreating shooting into ballistics gel and shooting into other things. And if it was a direct hit this way, how does that just stop and just kind of, bounce around in here and just stop and still remain in the skin? I mean, it's like, it's hard to believe, but Charlie was a, pretty amazing dude. So maybe it was a miracle. I'm also, miracles also happen. I know that. Hey, Knox, can you read the spent casing? Is that even possible? Why write on these? I don't know. Maybe to seed a narrative. There's other people saying the same thing. Like, a lot of these are starting to look like the same thing. Like, is it some intelligence agency that's like launching Manchurian candidates off? And I see what you're saying. Like, if he wrote that on the bullet with pen right here, I mean, it looks like a big pen or a Sharpie, like maybe a little Sharpie or something. If you actually fire that, there's an explosion that goes off in the weapon. And does the ink, smear off or evaporate or become smudged or something? Who knows? But of course, they didn't show us the spent casing or the spent casings. And it sounds like he fired off a bunch of rounds. So did the other clips have different inscriptions? Who knows, Knox? Good to see you. Great question. The Rubos. What's up, the Rubos? Jason, Clean Safe Energy is here as a member. Thank you, Jason. It is a stripper clip with an eye. It is used to strip off bullets into an internal, non-removable magazine. Tried to explain this in the morning stream, but you can't type stripper. So thank you for that. Yeah, so this morning, your boy, we saw that post from Cash, and we were asking, is that a mag? I think I said magazine at first. I'm like, oh, that's not a magazine. Because a magazine, I think about as being what you have for a handgun, right? So clip, but you just would like take these and just shove them into the rifle, and then it would take the bullets off, right? And then you would drop this bottom thing and drop that. You could have another one, put those in. Like, you saw a lot of this action in like the old movies, like Saving Private Ryan and stuff like that. So That's I think, what I was thinking later, but then we didn't know how many shots he had fired. So he certainly hit 3 people, so 3 rounds, but then also 1 hit the flag and went through the window. And they said firing indiscriminately. So did he have other messages? And would they stay? Like if he puts that in there, when the bullet is ejected, is the text still visible? Great question. Thank you, Jason, for that. Yeah. And hopefully we get some more details on it. I'm sure there'll be more to come. We now have a pattern of this stuff happening repeatedly. The Catholic Church shooting, Charlie Kirk shooting. Now this. The Rubos. The Marine Corps silently drills platoon. The silent drill platoon performs on the south lawn of the White House. All right, let's take a quick look at this one and see what's happening. This sounds cool. So from Margot Martin, here is the Marine Corps silent drill platoon. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. So shout out to our Marines and all the men and women out there in our military. Thank you for that. From the Rubos, Milan says, it's not perfect, but I have made inways with my daughter because she's been around the arts since high school. I was getting further and further away from her. This makes me cry. What helped me was watching Kirk debate and give respect and open to hear another point of view. She actually called me to tell me to not look at the video. And it's horrible to kill anyone. She consoled me when I first heard. My advice is to go listen to Kirk. Give anyone a chance to be heard. That's a great comment. Thank you, Milan. Yeah, and that's hopefully what we can get to. It's like, can we just agree? Like, I know we don't agree on economics. I know we don't agree on the border. I know we don't agree on abortion. I know you don't like Christians. I know you hate white people. All the things, but can't we just agree at least, like as a starting point, we don't murder each other? Can't we do that? Otherwise, what kind of society can you have? How can you have a civil society if the other side will literally murder you because they think you're a Nazi? Milo phone bill. The roof is not too steep for the FBI to investigate. Wow, look at those FBI agents. So yeah, after Butler, they must have all gone to like gymnast schools and practice on the balancing beam or whatever, because that's a pretty nice slope right there. It looks like, maybe 12 degrees. That's way bigger than the 2 degrees that were in Butler. So they're getting pretty good. And then you go up to this. I mean, maybe they can scale that too. I don't know. That might be asking too much. But now you're coming up close to like 90 degrees, right? It's like probably 80, 70 degrees. So Milo, thank you for the comment, my man, over on Locals. And we'll see more on our after party over on Locals. And that's where we're heading now. So if you're watching on Rumble or anywhere else and you want to come join us, you can, for the rest of the week or so, or however long the beta test goes, come join us on Substack. And we're just testing it, so it's no charge or anything. Just come hang out. We want to see how it works and whether it is a good or sustainable platform. So come check that out. Links are in the description. Wherever it is you're watching this, we're going to head over. YouTube membos, stick around. Locals membos, stick around. Of course, we'll have a new stream and we'll have an after party in just a second. But my friends, it has been a beautiful stream. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for the great comments. Thanks for the donos. Yeah, Kellen Miller says this one, 4 months as a membo. Great to have you, Kellen. Using Nazi era weapons while calling us Nazis. Yeah. And they also, want to kill their political opponents. Just sort of like the Nazis, So, all right. So thank you, Kellen Miller, for that one. Now, my friends, we'll wrap it up here. Want to thank our amazing mods and meme smiths who mod the fort down for us and keep things oh so nice and orderly and beautiful around here. Our friends, Donut Mind Me and John clipping for us today. Carrie B, K Bean in the house, modding the fort down for us. Neuro D, Janek, Dog Digger, G-Gum, Just Rhonda, and Elliot, all helping out. We're grateful for everybody who joined us today. We are going to go over for our after parties, hang out, debrief a little bit, see what else you have to say, take some comments, and jump in the chats. And we'd love to have you come join us. But if not, we're coming back tomorrow. We're going to get into it again. And in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers. We won't be denied. Watching the watchers. Eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but here we see through